This is the cover page of Times Magazine edition from February 1937. The cover story of that edition was about the wealthiest person of that time, the Nizam of Hyderabad, Mir Osman Ali Khan. He is the fourth wealthiest person to have ever lived in this world. At the time of India's independence in 1947, the annual national income was $1 billion. Meanwhile, Nizam had a wealth of over $2 billion. Back then, Hyderabad under Nizam's rule was the most prominent princely state in India. Not only did Hyderabad have its own army and currency, but also had its own telecommunication network, railways, and even an airline. Hyderabad was clearly the wealthiest amongst the Indian states and was hesitant to join the Indian Union. The princely state was unified with India in just 150 hours. This video is about Operation Polo, the exciting story of the integration of Hyderabad with the Indian Union. Back in the days, the predecessors of the 7th Nizam, Osman Ali Khan, established their rule in the Deccan region by seizing Golconda, the only diamond mine in the world. Being the ancestor of the Mughal Empire, they later renamed the area as Hyderabad. The vast fortunes of Nizam and his family were mainly on account of Golconda diamond mines. During the British reign, Hyderabad was the first princely state in India that recognized the British rule. Back then, British India was made up of almost 500 princely states. When India attained freedom from the British in 1947, these princely states were given the right to either merge with India, Pakistan, or even become an independent nation. The Nizam wanted Hyderabad to remain an independent country like Australia under the British Commonwealth. But when this request was rejected by the British, the only path left for Hyderabad was to merge with India or Pakistan. On November 19, 1947, the Nizam entered a standstill agreement with the British for 1 year. According to the deal, while all matters regarding the internal affairs of Hyderabad rested with the Nizam, external affairs, defense and communication would be with the Indian Union. While Hyderabad had a police force with a strength of 22,000, they also had an armed militia called Razakars, which was around 2 lakhs in strength. The main goal of Razakar army, led by Qasim Rizvi, was to resist integration with India. As the Razakars would strongly resist Hyderabad's union with India, Nizam decided to join Pakistan instead. However, the Razakars didn't have any proper training or weapons, so they allied with Pakistan to secure weapons and training. Needless to say, this was in blatant violation to the clauses of the standstill agreement. Soon, India realized that Hyderabad was preparing for a war by importing weapons from the foreign nations and by recruiting more men in the Razakar army. Hyderabad was trying to acquire around 5 lakh rifles and 3 lakh machine guns from Western countries like Pakistan. Realizing this, India assigned the then High Commissioner of London, V.K. Krishna Menon, to take appropriate countermeasures. Through clever diplomatic maneuvers, he made sure that Hyderabad did not get any military support from any foreign nation. But Nizam was willing to spend exorbitant amounts to smuggle weaponry into Hyderabad. Since Hyderabad was landlocked by India, it was impossible to transport weapons to Hyderabad through land or by water. So they decided to deploy Sidney Cotton, an infamous smuggler, to transport weaponry through air. For this, Cotton was promised 20 million pounds, which translates to roughly 5,000 crore rupees in today's money. Cotton bought 5 second-hand Avro Lancastrian aeroplanes for this purpose. In the first stage, several cannons were dropped at the Warangal region. In a span of just 2 months, Cotton delivered 25,000 mortars, 1,000 anti-tank mines, 5,000 submachine guns, 10,000 rifles and their bullets. Subsequently, when Hyderabad banned the Indian currency and severed trade relations with India, India took it as a premonition of war. India also discovered that huge sums of money were being spent in Britain to influence them to declare Hyderabad as an independent nation. Even though Prime Minister Nehru was against the separatist tendency of Hyderabad, he insisted that an army intervention should occur only if the negotiations fail. But the then Home Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel believed that negotiations were pointless and that only a military intervention could bring out a solution. Meanwhile, the extreme-minded Razakars had started to target the common people of Hyderabad. Although looting, murder and arson were prevalent at that time, Nizam hesitated to interfere because of the strength of the Razakar army. Though the common people had started to organize under the leadership of the Communist Party, the tacit approval of the government meant that they could not properly resist the powerful Razakars. Besides Hyderabad's military build-up, the excessive use of violence by the Razakar army meant that riots were rampant. All this led to complete disruption of law and order in the region. An army intervention was the only solution that India had. As a last resort, India ordered its army to capture Hyderabad. The architect of this plan was Lieutenant General E.N. Goddard, who was the chief of the Southern Command at that time. The plan was to go for a pincer movement, whereby the target is simultaneously attacked from two different sides. This would mean that the target would not be able to defend themselves properly, resulting in their defeat. The Indian Army named the plan as Operation Polo, as there were many polo grounds in and around Hyderabad. The Indian Army attacked Hyderabad at early dawn on September 13th. They moved in from the east via Vijayawada and from the west via Sholapur at the same time. In addition, the army also attacked the border checkposts between India and Hyderabad by splitting into two small groups. The Razakars were dumbfounded by the all-round attack by the Indian Army and could not even mount a counter-defense. The Indian Army chased them out and successfully entered Hyderabad city through the east and the west. The fact that the Razakar army had little time to train or even familiarize with the new weapons accelerated the Indian victory. With the defeat of the Razakars, Hyderabad surrendered to India on September 17. The operation lasted a mere 150 hours. With this, the Nizam was ready to merge Hyderabad with India. Meanwhile, Sidney Cotton was smuggling weapons to Hyderabad right until the operation started. But as soon as Cotton became aware of the Indian Army's plan, he wanted to escape on his aeroplane with his life. His plan was to take Rizvi, the head of Razakar army, along with him. But in the ensuing melee, Cotton flew away, assuming that Rizvi had already boarded the plane. Rizvi was captured and imprisoned by the Indian Army and later deported to Pakistan. Later, Qasim Rizvi died disgracefully in Pakistani hospital without a cent to his name. With Hyderabad becoming a part of India, the Nizam was appointed as the Raj Pramukh or governor of the newly formed state of Hyderabad by the Indian government. In 1956, when Indian states were recognized on the linguistic basis, part of Hyderabad state was merged with the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Today, this troubled history of Hyderabad is not even well known. Hyderabad is now the perfect example of a state that illustrates how much a region can achieve without any external disruptive influences. Although Hyderabad was not a part of India when India became independent, today the city is one of the major IT hubs of our country. Let us hope that such peace and prosperity reach other places in India like Kashmir.